welcome back to All For United WFC. Finally, we're starting our World Cup kind of content. A couple of you have asked us about it, and we thought we can't delay this any longer. We've got to get some World Cup stuff out, and obviously we're going to start with, I guess, our all-supported home nation. Meg's got the flag right behind the centre screen, so everyone can see which team we're talking about today. So thanks for that, Meg. In case people forgot, obviously we will be starting with the Lionesses. We're going to go through kind of the lead up to the tournament, best 11. We'll go through that in a bit as well. Which, when we do these kind of 11 pick shows, especially with me and Barry are on it, it's always a debate of some kind. So this can be quite entertaining. So we'll get into all that and then a couple of kind of quick fiery things towards the end as well. I'm not going to waste any time because I'm not going to lie. There's some tennis on that I want to watch in a bit. So I want to try and catch the end of that.
I'm going to say you're not going to waste any time because you've already wasted enough as it is already. But
I mean, that as well, to be fair. Barry, it's interesting. I may as well come to you first. Kind of the Lionesses, I guess, preparation, I'll call it. The three matches, or the three most recent matches, the 0-0 to Portugal, which obviously the send-off one, the loss to Australia, and obviously the win against Brazil on penalties in that one. Are you a little bit concerned that maybe the preparation in terms of results haven't been good, or get my words out, or is what you've seen on the pitch good enough for you as kind of a preparation leading into the tournament?
Well, in terms of what's on the pitch, is it good enough? No, of course it's not. You can't lose games and draw a game and then go, oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Well played, girls. We're not having that. We did beat Brazil in the end, so that was quite important. And we drew with Portugal. I think Australia was the worst one because that was the one that obviously gave us the defeat that lost the record. But in a way, I think that was quite good to get that monkey off the back of, having that such a massive win record, because all we kept on talking about was, it's another game they haven't lost for, another game they haven't lost for. You can just see people lining you up waiting for it. So the fact we don't have that to worry about anymore, I think is quite a good thing. I think if you talk to anyone within football when it comes to preparation, they're not really all that fussed about the results. They're fussed about making sure they've got their opinions across, that they're doing the right things, that they're preparing well on the pitch, that they're trying to get some of their tactics across. And my hope will be that she's done that. I think for me, we'll get to it. The biggest problem isn't the preparation on the pitch. It's what's happening off the pitch. And the fact that we've had players that are missing. That's probably going to be the bigger issue. But I think we will get into that a lot more. So for me personally, it's like pre-season at the end of the day. I don't really pay too much attention to it. The proof of the pudding will be very much in the eating. And the appetizers are nearly served, kind of.
What is that? I mean, yeah, don't disagree. Just going back to a comment that was actually put in an hour before the show. I hope you are well, Jennifer, by the way. Don't apologise about missing shows and all those kind of things. I just hope you are doing well. That is for sure. Meg, for yourself, Ali's just mentioned a team as well, obviously leading up to the result that we saw recently against Germany. So can we read too much into England's kind of results leading up to the tournament? Because we've seen some shockers for other teams as well that usually then go on to do well in tournaments. So how are you kind of feeling looking at the England recent games?
Yeah, I mean, it's been three very different teams that we've faced in Brazil, Australia, Portugal. And, you look at the win, the draw, the loss, and obviously, as Barry said, you're not going to be happy with that, are you? But as Barry said, it's like a pre-season game. You're kind of seeing how different players play together, the different link-ups you can get. It's basically for Sarina to see who her starting players are going to be, who her impact subs are going to be. Obviously, since the Brazil game, what was it, start of April, we've lost Leah since then. So we had Leah in the Brazil game, and obviously that's massively impacted us. But myself, I did look at the Portugal game, and I thought, obviously second half we played much better. Obviously, Russo missed a few sitters, which was quite frustrating. And then now she's signed for Arsenal. But honestly, I couldn't say. Obviously, that there may be worries, but I'm not worrying too much because obviously the group games that we've got are completely different to each other. So it's just a waiting game pretty much. And you just hope that Sarina knows what her starting 11 is now, and how she's going to kind of work around the team and, give minutes to the players who we know actually deserve minutes this year.
Did you see all three United panelists' faces light up then when you said about Russo missing all three of us started.
I'm not convinced my face lit up, Connor. I'm not having that. Lit up is the wrong word in.
Well, I couldn't think of anything else, so I'm rolling with
My eyebrows were raised though.
But no, I do I do remember obviously those chats, and yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, Laura, for yourself, firstly, welcome to the channel. I don't believe obviously your first time on it. What are your kind of thoughts then with the, I guess, the pre-tournament games, as we said there, those three in particular, and the ones before that?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with the other two, like predominantly. I think as well as the kind of record of winning that Barry was talking about, I think just facing those draws and facing those losses, like as a team, they went through the entire Euros tournament without that, and obviously went behind in Spain, and it was the kind of belief that they're going to win that got them through. And I think having to experience the kind of, okay, we need to collect ourselves, we've gone down, we've lost to Australia, we've drawn to Portugal. How as a squad do we mentally overcome that? How does Serena go on to kind of inspire them? I think having had that experience already isn't actually a bad thing going into the tournament. And I think, as Megan said, you kind of facing the World Cup with arguably a very different squad to kind of, or starting 11 to what those teams that faced, especially like Australia and Brazil with injuries, and then even the team that faced Portugal, you know, you might have Millie Bright coming in. You're going to have completely potentially different starting 11s if that was a case of her like seeing who those subs are going to be and who can perform well under pressure. I don't know if that was necessarily going to be the starting lineup. So I don't think you can read an awful lot into them because you don't know what Serena was trying to get out of those matches. So I'm not particularly worried, but I think it was interesting to take some of those things away. And I think I do think personally I'm not as excited about their chances after the injuries that have happened.
No, you certainly make some fair points. I mean, Vic, over to yourself for kind of this little segment there. You know, Laura makes a good point potentially. Is it, you know, we don't really know what Serena was trying to do. Obviously, trying to find out a best 11, trying out different things in phases of the game, trying different things as well. But do you think that's the most important thing, that, you know, it's a learning curve, the loss, the draw, and the Brazil win and so on, that probably learned more from those games than if we'd have just steamrolled everybody in some of the easier ones?
I think they've got to take it as a learning curve at the end of the day. I think Serena has as well, to be honest. The starting 11 she did for Portugal wouldn't have been my starting 11 at all. And I do think it proved that it kind of shouldn't be, because when she brought the subs on second half, we did play a little bit better. Apart from, you know, we've already mentioned the name. I'm joking. But yeah, I do think it's got to be a learning curve, and if they don't take it as a learning curve, then what's the point in these friendlies? You know, they've got to have these to then go to the World Cup, and so Serena knows who she can rely on, who she needs as these super subs. Obviously last year, I think it really like benefited us having Chloe Kelly, Ella Toon, Alessia Russo coming on 60th-ish minute. I think it really helped us. And I think we need the same this year. Maybe not the same three, but similar impact subs. And, you know, yeah, they've got to take it as a learning curve, because if they don't, there's just no point in doing these games. Like, there is no point. The Brazil game, I do think Brazil played really well, but we weren't on top form. I personally don't think. You know, we got that goal, and I don't know why we conceded, because it was a silly goal to concede. It shouldn't have gone down to penalties. Luckily, we've got, you know, the best goalkeeper, because, you know, she won that game for us at the end of the day. I know a lot of people, this might be like controversial, but I can't even say that word, but you know what I mean. But like a lot of people went on about saying like Chloe Kelly scored the winning goal. Like, to me, she didn't. Like, Mary saved us that day, and you know, and that's what a goalkeeper's there for at the end of the day. If we can't do our job, then she's there to do it, to finish it. So yeah, so I think she was beneficial in that game. Australia, they did play well, but we weren't on top form. Portugal, we played okay, and I thought, you know, we've got a few people missing. It weren't the lineup I would have chosen. And second half, it showed what we can do. We've just got to finish the passes at the end of the day.
No, for sure. Some good points made all round on that one. Ellie saying, why I feel they were shaky inside potentially. Could be a fact. There's been a lot of football played over the last kind of 12 to 18 months since COVID. There is a bunching up of tournaments and games and everything else because of the backlog and things getting pushed back. So maybe there's a factor in that. Obviously, that's a whole other conversation when you come into injuries and all kinds of things. There's a lot of conversation about starting 11s and things like that. I wasn't going to do this till a bit later, but I'm going to flip this around and do it now, actually, because why not? Because there's a lot of conversation in the chat about it. So if I share my screen, maybe 2 seconds. There we go. Is that the right tab? It better be, because otherwise I'm sharing a tab that I don't want to be. So I've 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, which however way you want to look at it, we can move players around should we need to on this one. So we'll just go through and kind of pick our kind of what we feel is our strongest 11 between the 5 of us, and obviously you guys in the comments as well, get involved, get your names in and things like that. I'm pretty sure a few of these are going to be nailed on and unanimously voted for. So we're starting goal.
So.
Is there any doubts about putting Ellie Roebuck in net? Of course, I'm
so lucky I don't swear on this channel, because the words I want to say right now are not family friendly.
Obviously, I am joking. Yeah, Mary Earps, are we all pretty much unanimous that Earps is going in net for this one? So Barry, you can call yourself.
Right, I'm still breathing. It's good.
That's proper, because I don't think there's any debate on that one. Another position I feel is pretty nailed on. Right back. Are we all saying Lucy Bronze for this one as well?
Yeah.
It's easy, this.
What a show.
This is easier than the WSL end of the season one we did. Goodness me.
Just to address it a very quick.
Watching that.
I was joking, by the way, Marcus.
No, you wasn't. You
just
saw the lead balloon drop and thought, "Oh, our best change," because I want to
for a little bit of context, go and watch the show that we did. Me, Meg, and Barry are on that, the WSL Team of the Season one. That'll explain why.
Traumatizing.
That'll explain.
I was in
why.
the comments so much that day. I was like, no.
Oh yeah, you weren't very happy with Blundell, wasn't it? Left back, were you? Yeah, I got an angry message from you afterwards. I can't believe you didn't.
Did we end up putting McCabe in at left back in the end?
We did.
Oh no.
That wasn't Charlie's fault.
We'd have been down to 10 in 10 minutes.
Great.
So this is where the conversation could, what I'll do, I'll come to each of you for kind of your centre back pairing, and we'll see if there's anyone that's voted by all 5. Obviously, we don't know the fitness of Millie Bright yet, so we don't know what's going to happen there. Barry, who's your pairing? We've seen a couple of different options in the last kind of few weeks ago, or few games, if you want to call it that. Obviously, most recently, Carter's been in there, Morgan's been in there, Greenwood can play there. We've got some options, but
Yeah, I don't like what you're saying already. They can play there. They can play there. They can. Why wasn't May Letitia on the plane? This has annoyed me. Why have we stuck someone who's not guaranteed to be well? I mean, this is so England. We did it with Rooney. We did it with Beckham. We never learned the bleeding lesson. Take the fit players. She's had one of the greatest seasons known to humankind. And, oh, no, we just won't put her on the plane. Do you know, genuinely, I've been looking through it and I've gone, I could put a player here. Yeah, I could go in that one. I'm no problems with that. No problems until I got to centre back. And I looked at them and I just went, it's like Mother Hubbard's cupboard. You look at it and it's like, where's the centre backs? It's like Jack Sparrow when he's wandering around looking for, where's the centre backs? Where's the centre backs? Where are they gone? Where are they? I can't see them. So I'm going to have to go with Millie Bright and Lottie Wubben-Moy because they're the only 2 players that I would genuinely stick at centre back. And I'm a bit annoyed about that. I feel like Alex Greenwood might get shifted across because she's done that before and she doesn't usually play left back. But this is our problem. We've got a defence that is not, in my opinion, anywhere near as strong as it was for the Euros. So thank God for Mary Earps.
that was a passionate point forward.
There you go.
I did raise an eyebrow even more, though, I've got to be honest. Meg, obviously, for yourself, who's your pairing that you would have gone for?
I'd just say I completely agree with Barry. When I saw that Maya Letitia wasn't on that plane, I think I was speechless, honestly. I was speechless because she's had such a good season. But anyway, she's not on the plane. But yeah, if Millie Bright is fit, I know you talk about match fitness, etc. But come on, it's Millie Bright. You know what you're going to get with Millie Bright. She's just so solid in that position. So and she can play striker as well when she wants to. So you got killing two birds with one stone there. But honestly, as much as I don't know, because Alex Greenwood can obviously play there, but obviously she's better as a left back. But then I don't know if I'd play Jess Carter as a left back or a centre back. And to be fair, I didn't even think about putting Wubben-Moy, as a starting centre back. But she has had a very good season, given the injuries to Arsenal. Oh, I did toy with it, but I think I might go Jess Carter because I want Alex Greenwood at left back.
No shouts for Morgan so far.
No, she just lacked. I don't know what it was in the Portugal game, but she didn't look too comfortable at the back for me. So I wouldn't be too confident. In the games against if we progress and stuff, and in the games against Denmark and stuff like that, I just don't think she'll fare very well against some of the attacking players that are going to the World Cup.
Interesting. We've got a couple of names out there. Laura, for yourself, who are you going for as your pairing?
Yeah, I agree with Millie Bright. I think if she's fit, and if we're going like best players we can pick, we've got to assume she's going to be fit if she's there. I agree, Letizia should have been on that plane. But yeah, Bright starting, and then I had her paired with Greenwood. Kind of had the same kind of dilemma as Megan, but went the other way. I'd have put Carter at left back, and I'd put Greenwood at that centre back. I think she has the kind of passing range that we really relied upon Leah Williamson at the Euros, and I think the kind of diagonal passes out to those wings that we really benefited from Williamson, the nearest you're going to get to that is Greenwood. So I think pairing her with Bright would be my starting pair.
Interesting. And Vic, for yourself?
Again, Maya. I mean, honestly, it baffles my head every time I think about it. I lie in bed at night and I just think, why? And the funny thing is, everyone's saying the same. So what is the problem? Because Serena's basically the only one that's saying no. But anyway, I'd have again Millie Bright. Although we've all said Millie Bright, and I am a bit worried about her injury. So at the end of the day, if we've not got Millie Bright, I think we're a bit buggered. But hopefully, she'll be fine. So Millie Bright and I'd go Jess Carter with Alex on the left.
So I think, but off the basis of that, then, so we have got our three names that were said the most, which is obviously Greenwood, Carter, and Bright. I know, Barry, you put Wubben-Moy in there. But
yeah, I put Wubben-Moy there, but I did say, I don't know if you heard me say at the end, they were the two centre-backs that are actually centre-backs, but Greenwood will probably get shuffled on into the middle, is what I said.
See, if Bright's, I hate it. Like you said, Barry, if they're fit, like why are we taking that risk? But Serena must know, and the medical staff must know something if they've taken her, that they're expecting her to be ready, match day 1, 2, whatever it is. So Bright and Greenwood for me at centre back, because I agree with what Laura said about the passing range. I think we need that. If you haven't got a player like Williamson there, Letizia would have been perfect at this, by the way. But if you haven't got that player that can play that diagonal and so on, I think, and also Greenwood left-sided, left-footed, so playing the left side of the two would suit her as well. Carter at left back, again, I'm not against, because I think she could play there. Whether is she the best option out there? Out of this team, probably yeah. But is she going to be setting the world like that? Maybe not, but I still think you've got a quality defender out there that can do a job. We played Rachel Daly there last Euro, so it can be done.
I mean, if you're looking for positivity, you can always swap the two, can't you? And that's the thing. They're on the pitch. It's not a substitution, so you can easily go, Alex, pop out to the left and Jess pop into the middle. It's doable. It's a simple enough request to make. So I think we've got the back four, Connor. It's just, which order you want to put it in.
I'd say put Daly back there.
Oh, God.
Second half, Daly goes back there. I am joking.
We actually said to do that on that team show that we were after, because we're struggling to find a really good left back. Why not just stick Rachel Daly there, just so that we know that we can stick her up front? But
I mean,
they won't
to
have
be
none of it.
fair, it is an option that she has got a versatile player. But I mean, second half, if they're really struggling, they really could. But I don't think she will, and I don't think Daly deserves that either.
No, I agree.
Not after the season that she's just had at Villa. I think that's a bit harsh to then put her back to left back. Yeah, so are we going, which way round are we going? And if we had to choose, so Greenwood and Carter, if you had to choose, which way around are we putting these into?
Well, it's up to you, Connor, because technically you had 2 say Greenwood and 2 say Carter. So as much as I hate giving you the power, it's very much in your hands right now.
Put Greenwood in it.
Greenwood at centre back.
Greenwood in, yeah.
I think it's got to be that way around. And then Carter on the so I'm just looking at the rest of the squad. So Charles didn't get a single mention, and neither did Morgan. Are we happy with leaving those 2 out?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I saw a lot of speculation because obviously when the squad numbers came out, a lot of people kind of think into them a bit too much. And obviously Charles was given the number 3, I think, wasn't she? And everyone was like, "Oh, does that mean she's going to start?"
hopefully.
Good player. Again, another good player, but I think not better than those 5. Player 6, I feel like this is going to be pretty easy as well. If this is not Kira Walsh, I'll be absolutely amazed. Are we all in agreement there? It's Walsh in as player 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's one of the other easier ones.
I'd assume we're all in agreement that player 7 as well, but
I would imagine so. So we've got a few names obviously to pick from. We've got Coombs, obviously Jordan Nobbs, Stanway, Toon is in there, Zellum's in there. Or if you want to drop one of your forwards back into midfield as well. But players 7 and 8, what are we going for these 2? Barry, I'll start with yourself. Who are the 2 names that you've got there for those 2?
Well, Stanway's got to be number 7 for me. I think she's, I say it every time we talk about the Lionesses. I think she's brilliant. I know a lot of people give her a lot of stick, but I would love her to be in a Man United shirt. Just the sort of person that you would want. So for me, she's got to be the 7. I've gone Toon for 8 because she seems to switch it on all right for England. That's generally where you would go to start. But I do have to say, she's not covered the world in glory in the last few months. So from a United point of view, I'd quite like her to have a bit of time off and, just sort of go into a dark corner and regain her magic. Plug herself in, I think, really is what she needs to do, because she's one of those that's just always constantly needs to be on charge. But yes, I have put Toon and Stanway currently as my 2.
Meg, for yourself?
yeah, Stanway in at 7. I think that's almost a given. I think she's just one of the most consistent players we've got in the squad, and obviously the goal that she came up with against Spain, that will be one of the best moments of the Euros, and hands down, what a goal. I get what Barry's saying about Toon. Yes, she turns up for England. I fell in love with Toon at the Euros last year. I really did. But after seeing Lauren James in that kind of number 10 position against Portugal in the second half, I do think she offered more than Toon did. Obviously, Toon didn't really look all that, exciting. And obviously Lauren James hasn't got the experience that Toon has, but I just think, she was progressing into the final third a lot. She was creating more chances for herself, for the other attacking players. I think it has given Serena a headache, probably, with Toon not kind of stepping up to the plate. So I am going to go with Lauren James in that number 10 role.
We'll just say, though, not a lot of people cover themselves in glory in that 0-0 game where we were so great at attacking that we scored a bunch of goals. Just say.
That's why I asked whether we're dropping any attackers back, because I'm going to come back to myself in a second. Laura, for yourself, who obviously we've got a couple of. It seems like Stanway is going to be unanimous, I think, in this one. So it's more about that kind of number 10. Right, I know it says player 8, but the number 10.
Hey, where's your counting gun?
Yeah, definitely Stanway in there. As a number 10, I think for me it depends if we do play a 4-3-3 or if we play a 4-2-3-1. I think we play a 4-2-3-1 like we did the Euros, and then we're discussing who's number 10, and then I think you have the choice between Toon and James. And I've kind of got myself stuck on this idea that James would be the kind of perfect replacement to be one of those impact subs. I think the way that Serena Wiegmann used the substitutes at the Euros was one of the kind of it's what won us it. I think that's what got us the win against Spain. I think that's what kept us in it. And I think James can be that player to kind of come on and offer those new options. And I think Toon has the experience from the Euros, which is what Serena Wiegmann relied on for the starting 11 at the Euros. You kind of got Fran Kirby in there, who's got the England experience. So I'd put Toon at number 10 to start, and I'd have Lauren James as a really important sub. I also think Lauren James hasn't potentially performed as well as she could in the important games for Chelsea when she's been under pressure and when she's had that kind of new experience. I think she is still very young, and I think the kind of Tuna hasn't been in the best form either. I think both of them, yes, Lauren James did better in that Portugal game, but I think neither of them have been in the best form of their lives towards the end of the WSL season. And I'd use James as that kind of impact sub, I think, and Toon to start for me.
I like Laura, she can come back on.
I was going to say, offering some. I didn't think of it like that, to be honest. So I don't.
Cheers.
And Vic, for yourself, I'll be amazed if Toon's not in here. If with your kind of admiration for her, but it's up to you. I don't want to sway your decision, but who have you gone for those two? I imagine you've gone Stanway as well, or are you going to throw a different
I
name
have
at us?
Stanway, obviously. Like Barry said, I'd definitely have her in United shirt. I think she'd suit it too. My worry with, like Connor, as you just said, I love Toon. She's a Wigan girl, and so am I, so I have to. But my problem is, I am worried at the fact that I think she takes the pressure. She wears a heart on her sleeve, doesn't she? But I think she does take. She does. She won't admit to it, but I do think the pressure doesn't help her at all. Since the Euros, obviously she's doing a lot with a lot of different organisations and things like that, and I do think it has affected her. I think she'd be gutted if she didn't start, and I think I'd be gutted if she didn't start as well. So I would have a start, but my problem is, like Barry said, I'm worried about her coming back to United. I think she's a really strong player for United. She hasn't shown up as much this season, but I do think she's quite. You'll probably go, what? But I do think she's actually quite underrated as a player at United. I think, the things she does with the ball is insane. But my worry is, like, I wouldn't choose Lauren James over Toon any day. I do not like Lauren James at all. She'd be back in England if it was up to me. But at the end of the day, I am worried about the pressure getting to Tooney and injuries and her needing time to focus as well, because she's had 2 weeks. Some of these players have had 2 weeks to turn around and get back in training, and it's not a lot when they've been playing since they didn't have a break from summer last year, did they? So yeah, that's my only worry from a United perspective, but for an England perspective, I'd have Toon.
Certainly some good. I think I want to get back to the pressure once we've done this little segment. I want to come back to that after the obviously post Euros and go into this tournament. But when you're talking about I agree. I don't think she's set the world like, certainly not this season. We've spoke at length on this channel about her performances towards the back end of the season. But I think that's just the level, because she sets such a high bar that when she drops then to like a 6 or a 7, it looks like such a big drop off because of the year she had prior and the Euros. Obviously, the Euros are a little bit different because obviously she wasn't playing for 90 for the majority. She was that impact player that Laura was talking about last summer with the substitutes and so on. So
can I just have a Connor?
Yeah, you go for it.
Sorry. I think it's what a lot of people said, that we played better second half against Portugal. I don't think that was anything to do with Lauren James, if I'm honest. Like I said, I do not like her, but at the end of the day, I think if you kept Toon there and had, the difference between the link up, we're never going to see at United anymore. But the link up between them two, I think we could have had the same chances, and I think the space that Tooney finds is unreal. And I do think that'd be interesting to see when they both came on at the Euros. It worked again with Chloe Kelly as well. I think the three of them would be really good on the pitch together. All young, really good players. So yeah, just another point to add. I do think it would have been the same, if not better, second half Portugal if it would have been to not just Lauren James there.
So it wasn't the only sort of, as you said, obviously Kelly came on for two, and Russo obviously came on as well. Obviously the change in the back, I think Charles came on for Greenwood, I think, from memory. So there was obviously other changes as well that changed the dynamic. So we'll go with, I can see the argument for James. I wouldn't mind seeing that though, when you're talking about Toon starting, James coming off the bench to kind of change things up. I think that could potentially work as well. As everyone said, the subs seem to be very important. Now, we'll move over to player 10. Highland saying here player 10 will be interesting because Chloe Kelly start on being an impact sub like the Euros. Now, I think this front three, I think we could have a couple of combinations here. Because obviously, we can still put James in our front three. We've obviously got Kelly, Hemp, Daly, Russo, England, so on, and Katie Robinson, if anyone wants to throw her into the mix as well. Player 10, Barry, who are you sticking out on the right-hand side?
I have gone for Euro Cup winner Chloe Kelly.
Everyone's nodding their head, so I don't know whether this is like all in agreement here that that it's going to be.
Again, you're talking about experience. We've said at United all the time we want players to come in that got experience of winning things, and we're just very much in that situation now where you've got a squad that have got the experience of winning things, and when you've got the number of injuries that we've had and problems that we've had and the number of young players that are going to be in the squad as well, you are going to need that experience. So for me, yeah, she's earned the right to start.
That's something I've not even thought of. The age of the squad is ridiculously young, especially the starting 11. When you look at the players that are on screen, obviously the couple of older players in there, but Walsh and Stanway, Toon, Kelly, I imagine is going to go in. Whoever starts, well, it's going to be Daly. Maybe that's just
Millie's not a million miles away from the knitting needles, is she? Probably the senior player.
I didn't think you were going to say that.
Well, United, honest with you, Connor, but there you
go. But Meg, Laura, Vicky, you all in agreement? It's Kelly on the right hand side, or is it we go with Lauren James on the right? Who else do we? Obviously, Robinson can play there, but I doubt she's going to be the strongest out of the options we've got here.
Yeah, look, I mean, Beth obviously lit up the Euros, and obviously Chloe Kelly did. She was a perfect impact sub, but now Beth's injured, we don't have a. Chloe Kelly kind of almost slots into that kind of starting position automatically. If I was Serena, I'd kind of, have that thinking. I saw someone put a comment in earlier saying Toon in the 10 position and Lauren James on the wing didn't quite work too well. So I don't know if I'd want to see that link up. So, as much as Chloe Kelly, is an impact sub, I think she'll make as much of an impact starting as well. So, yeah, Chloe Kelly for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Kelly starting for me. I did consider, I think James is the other option there. But again, I think that substitute role, like she can do that for either in the 10 or the right wing. So yeah, I think Kelly started for City, so I don't see why she couldn't do that for England after the Euro she had.
I agree. If anyone's deserved a starting place in the World Cup, it's got to be Chloe Kelly. I mean, yeah, she's incredible. Another one I'd have in a United shirt.
Is there anyone just out of interest, Vic, on that team that you wouldn't have in a United shirt?
Yeah, quite a few actually.
Oh, right.
You're on the screen at the moment?
Yeah, I'd take all of them bar bronze.
Okay, well, I'd like her, so I don't want Carter. I'm not fussed about bronze. Don't really care about Bright. Not that fussed about Greenwood, but I would take her. I'd have Walsh. I'd have Stanway. I'd have Toon.
I agree.
And I quite like the look of player 9 and player 11 as well. They're pretty good.
I mean, I'd have, at the moment, when we've a right back that's as young as they are, I'd maybe have Lucy Bonds, but this might be her last season, so maybe not. I wouldn't have Jess Carter at all. Wouldn't have Greenwood. I probably wouldn't have Bright. I'd have Walsh, Stanway, Kelly, Toon, and Mary, obviously. That's it.
Harlan, you might be onto something there. I said, if you watched our team of the season show, people would think I don't like herbs, but there we are.
I wouldn't have the last Who that we're going to say either, so that's all right.
No, for sure. And again, talking about Robinson will be on off the bench. I'll be very surprised if she's not. To be honest, I don't think she'll get that many minutes, but that's a whole other conversation. Player 11 then. So we got 3 standouts. Obviously, Daly, England, and Voldemort over there. But who are we going to go for player? It says a lot. These numbers really mess up my head. That should be player 9. Strikers are 9.
Okay, Lauren Hem.
No, player 11, striker.
Which one do you want, Connor? 9 or 11?
Do 9 first. It'll be easier.
Do you want the left or the middle?
Let's go off the left then, if that's what you want to go for, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be unanimous as well, right? Is it all Hemp on the left side? Easy. Right, I'll put that in the second. Player 11 then, Barry, striker. Who are you going for?
Daly. She had her moment at left back. She's earned the right to lead the line. I'm starting it now. # Daly in. Simple as that. Rachel Daly goes at the front. And I know what people are thinking. They're already going there. Oh, we don't want to say Russo now because she's got to Arsenal. No, not the case. I actually think that Daly's done really well. If people are going to say Beth England to go in this position, I'll still maintain exactly like I said last year. I would still pick Alessia Russo over Beth England in the England team. So there's no dramas with that whatsoever. But for me, Rachel Daly just got an absolute clutch of goals. And I just think it's moronic when we don't pay attention to what's been a fantastic season of form, and we just pick people by their name. England's done all right. Russo's done all right. Daly's done blinking amazing. So Rachel Daly, player 11. She didn't get into the group last time we did it. That's it. Daly in. #.
I was going to say she didn't make our team of the season, or did she?
No.
No, did she? No, she did, didn't she? I'm sure she did. Because that was the debate.
McCabe got there.
No, at striker.
She made it up front.
She was, up front. You was going to put a...
Because we didn't put Shaw in the end, did we?
Yeah, we left Bunny Shaw out. That was it. Yeah, that.
Oh, this year. Yeah, I'm talking about last year's.
Oh, no. The one
which was supposed to go in at left back, and then Katie McCabe got drafted in.
Look, Katie McCabe is Katie McCabe, and there's enough said on that.
Is there any doubts or debates to be had over striker, or is this a pretty easy one as well? That it's going to be after the season Daly's had, it's hard to. I guess the only argument that you could put forward, and I can't believe I'm defending Russo here, but the only argument you could put forward is maybe her link-up play with the players around her probably suits England a little bit better. But from a goal-scoring point of view,
I agree with that. I think the link-up play would be insane, but I think you've got to take into account what we've done this season. It's unbelievable, to be honest. But I will say she did not play well or up to her standard against Portugal, and that worries me a little bit. And I think if Russo comes on, I think, like I said before, like Toon, Kelly need to stay on with her, Walsh, and see what they can make out of them as well, because I think that would be really good link-up.
I think Daly, I agree with that as well. I think you have to start Daly after the kind of season she's had. I do think, arguably, all of them have a role. I think I was listening to an interview with Emma Hayes the other day on TalkSport, and she kind of outlined the kind of that each of them have their strengths against the different opposition, and I think that could be quite interesting. She said Daly's really good against high lines, Russo's better against the lower blocks, and Beth England's good at counter-attacking situations. So I think there is something to be said for let's see who we're playing, let's see what their tactics are, and then utilise whoever's going to do the job there. But for me, on a kind of where do we start if we don't know who we're playing? Yeah, start Daly, have Russo as that impact sub like she was at the Euros. I think Russo's great off the bench, even as an Arsenal fan who now is obviously pro Russo. I did make my mind up on this before she left United, so maybe I was biased there anyway. But I think you got to start Daly after her season, and I do think Russo did very well off the bench in the Euros, and I don't think that you necessarily want to change that.
I agree with Laura on the fact that they kind of all have their different strengths. But as we know, so once Serena has her starting lineup, that will not budge for the entire tournament.
I was going to say, I think someone's just made that comment. Yeah, saying there. I mean, Serena can still run. She likes to be consistent. I think it's going to be Russo, isn't it? But I think I imagine. I don't know. Who knows? When we get to the tournament, it could be anything. It could be Robinson up front for all we know. But I think if we're all united, I think strongest 11, 100% Daly for me has to be player 11 because after the season she's had a better season than Russo. So, and England's not a million miles. I think if England would have gone to Spurs maybe at the start of the season, we might have seen England hitting the kind of numbers potentially, or not far off what Daly hit. When you're looking at match minutes and so on. So,
I think
we'll go with that.
Both players have the right to not be happy with that decision. If Russo was to start, I think Daly what's the word I'm looking for? She can be upset about it, and I would accept that. Like, at the end of the day, I think she should be upset about it if Russo starts over her because of the season she's had. And I think vice versa, when Daly starts, hopefully she will. I think Russo, again, she has the right to be upset about that. Because, again, she has had a good season, but just not as good as Daly. And I think with Daly's experience as well, I think they should, but I think they'll both be upset either way, to be honest. And I think, they have the right to be, and I think everyone's got to, accept that, because I do think there'll be a lot online basically saying, oh, she's so bitter and she sat on the bench with this. And I mean, I think Russo's got to get used to the bench because I think she's going to be spending most of the time there. So she best get used to that sitting down. But it'll be online that she sat on the bench with a face on a proper face on and things like that. You know what you see, and I think she has the right to have that because she tried really hard and tried my patience really hard.
Hard to. Sorry, it's just writing a bit now. Hard to disagree with that. I think that the team pretty much picks itself there. I think. What's this one?
I'll just say how funny that was. That had me laughing for a good couple of minutes there. Voldemort's sub. It's amazing. Went straight to the Horcrux of the matter. And can I also just point out here, if England lose the first game against Haiti, then that's it. We might as well just give up. I genuinely, nothing to do with the squad. If we lose against Haiti, just switch it off, go on holiday, pretend it ain't happening, because it's going to be a long summer for Haiti.
I was going to say, that's actually the next kind of thing, looking at the group a little bit, because, when you look at it, just a simple question to each: should England be top in that group? Are we all in agreement that England should top? The only issue is maybe Denmark on a very, very rough day. But even then,
I was worried about Denmark as I was as Norway.
Wow, that's a fair point.
I think we should have been on top of Portugal and we weren't.
Yeah, but they were enjoying the sun, weren't they? Just sort of got in their eyes.
I know. I just think, realistically, we should be on top of that group, but we should have been on top of Portugal like that. Like, my bet that I had on was completely wrong. Like, I think I bet like 4-0 or something like that, and then I was like, where's the goals going? Why do we keep hitting the bar? Why are we going wide every time?
I do agree with you. There's a difference between a friendly and an actual tournament, isn't it? That game against Portugal was just like a game against Portugal.
But I think they need to treat every game the same.
They should have done, as we've already said. Like, the season's been ridiculously long, isn't it? And so I can't really have a go at them for just going out there and strolling along for a bit. They must be absolutely shattered.
I think if Denmark focus a lot of their play around Pernilla Harder, and if she doesn't have a good game, then it's one of those where, you kind of saw in the Euros when she's not playing, you're probably going to get a good result against them.
Yeah. But no, Vic is right. So, we're all going to lose to Haiti. Glad you tuned in now, aren't you? There we go. It's game over. Just don't bother.
Laura, anything to add on England's group? Is there any... Obviously, Harder's I keep saying Harder like she's the only player for Denmark, but, any... I guess small concerns maybe of Denmark, or are you pretty confident England have got the 9 points wrapped up?
I think the only concern with Denmark is obviously Harder is that focal point of their team. I think the only concern is if we don't have bright back if we get another injury in that defensive line. If that's not settled and you get harder on a great day, that could be a bit interesting, shall we say. I think England could have a tendency in this tournament with a potentially unsettled back line to let in a few errors. And if the goal scoring's not back, because I think it might take, I think that Haiti game will be great, because I think what we're lacking is goals at the moment. And I think that will allow the team to settle and go, you know what, we can score again. Because you kind of lost Ellen White, you've lost Beth Mead, you lost Fran Kirby, who are all goal threats. And I think that will allow the team to be like, okay, we found the goal again. But yeah, I do think Denmark, that is the only kind of concern for me, is do they slip up and kind of have an unsettled defence and let one in and lose their heads a little bit? But I don't think they will. I think Serena has them kind of mentally on the right path, hopefully, if they've still got that mindset from the Euros and can carry that through. I do think on the Portugal friendly, there's also something to be said for, they've just witnessed a lot of their teammates arguably get ACLs, and they're on the verge of a big tournament. They're not going to be throwing themselves about or giving 100% to every single tackle or like, I think that's potentially another kind of point to add into that game. It was a 0-0 because you've kind of got this almost stigma around injuries at the moment. You're just watching everyone get injured. You don't necessarily want to be going full throttle. So I think there is that to consider as well, whereas at the World Cup, you're going to give everything.
A fair point. And it's just talking about just having it harder for Denmark. It always reminds me of Bill Shankly's team talk against Man United, where they were talking about Law, Charlton and Best, and they were putting all the players out, and he just put those three out basically. And he's just like, Gaff, you've only put three out. What's going on? And he goes, well, they've only got three players. So let's be honest, if you lot can't beat three players, then what's the point? Don't even, come back here and call yourself footballers, basically. I would argue if we can't go out and beat Pernille Harder, then we probably shouldn't be coming back and calling ourselves footballers.
It's an interesting one, because I think England should be top in that group for sure. I think when Harder might score in the game or create a chance that leads to a goal potentially, but England, they've got more than enough firepower in the squad that they've got. TJ, you've just nicked my point about what I was going to come to next. But no, I'm not now. Now you've done that out of spite, I'm going to come to that in a minute. And I've just muted myself.
Wow, what a flounce that was.
Why I clicked mute then, I don't know.
Can I just say, if we managed to beat Norway 8-0 last year in the Euros, we could put a few past Haiti.
Imagine.
You'd like to think so. See, I feel bad for them really, because China as well in some respects, but some of those teams is great for the nation and so on. But I don't know. I don't want to see a massive scoreline, because I don't think it does the tournament any good. I don't know whether I'm on the outside of that or whatever, but me personally, I don't like seeing massive scorelines, because I don't think it does the game or the tour. Like if you're new to the game, whatever, you see, England beat Haiti 20-0 or something, it doesn't look. For me, it takes away from the competitiveness.
Who were they playing when they did do 20-0? Was it Luxembourg?
Was it Latvia? I think it was.
So bad for that goal.
The 10. I think it was 10-0 against Luxembourg.
It was like 6 hat tricks or something like that. Well, they can't. Oh yeah, they can't. But it was.
There is a point of me that agrees with you, Connor. But generally, I tend to use that when it comes down to young people. Like, if you're at a primary school and you're losing 20-0, then there's something wrong with a PE teacher, because they should have changed something by now. But I kind of feel like you're just sort of peeing on everybody's cornflakes, really. These people in Haiti, they play. I don't even know if they got a league. Is it the Haiti Premier League? I mean, we don't even know any of their teams. So these people have been given the opportunity to go and play in a proper tournament with big names. They're really excited. And there's you sitting there going, oh, no, we shouldn't be playing Haiti because we might score 20. They'll just be delighted if they score 1. Like, we don't kick San Marino out of the men's team, even though, quite frankly, they could probably do a job in the Vauxhall Conference. We don't bother with that, do we? So, stop being so elitist and just accept that these people are only going to get better if they are exposed more and more to decent football and being given the opportunity to play. So although in a way it's not ideal, it's great for us. I love seeing England score 20 goals. It's much more exciting than watching them score one.
No, well, each of their own. Someone said, hey, yeah, welcome to the chat. I don't underestimate potentially. We shall see how that one evolves. Another question for yourself. I'm going in reverse order on this one. So Vic, I'll come to yourself first. It's kind of a two-part because I wasn't going to ask. It's kind of changed obviously since the injuries, but has your expectations changed since the Euros win? And then following on from that, did it then change again when the injuries started coming through, obviously with Mead and Williamson and so on throughout the season?
The injuries don't bother me too much, if I'm honest, because I think we've got depth in the squad. I can't speak tonight, can I? The squad, and I think at the end of the day, like, not that I'm not gonna give all the praise to Arsenal, but they managed to get through the season, didn't they? With all the injuries, and at the end of the day, if they can do it, then England definitely can. We've got the best, apart from May Letizia, we've got the best England players in this squad, and I think that if anyone can do it, then we should be able to do this. And I think, but I will say, I didn't think they was going to win the Euros, and they proved me wrong. And I don't want to say this, but I don't think they're going to win. But I'm hoping they prove me wrong again. And I think for us this year, we've just got to use that depth and just get out there, try our best, play well, and at the end of the day, like, it's football. You win some, you lose some, don't you? At the end of the day, as long as they play well, and like, they'll always do us proud, won't they? Like, not going to get all soppy, but they will always do us proud. And at the end of the day, we'll be happy with whatever they do. Some people won't, but to me, I think that we've got a lot of young players, and I think maybe a couple's last World Cup, and I just think they need to enjoy it, and they'll play the better football when they enjoy themselves. So, and that's what they did at the home tournament in England. So if they enjoy themselves and have fun at the same time, play volleyball and things like that, then, you know, we'll have a better chance than worrying about ACLs. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, injuries happen in football. I've had loads myself, and I just think, like, not even in just in football, with my horse riding and stuff as well, you have loads, and just because I'm going in the ring on a horse doesn't mean someone else is thinking, oh, I could fall off and have the exact same injury as her. Like, at the end of the day, like, it happens. Like, you've just got to get over it and think about yourself sometimes. Like, if you've got to throw your body on the line, then do it. Like, you're playing a game. If you want to win, you've got to play as if you're not bothered. So, yeah, you've got to play your hardest all the time, not just when you're in a friendly and not just when you're in a tournament. You've got to play all the time. Training as well, and that's why a lot of things happen in training, because people always play, or should play, the exact same as they play on the pitch, if not more.
No, it's certainly some of the, if you hear some of the stories coming out, you know, from United and from other teams as well, training does get very intense sometimes, and you do see these kind of things. I see your questions in the chat, and we'll try and come back to some of these that kind of tie into some of the quickfire ones I want to round this one off with. But Laura, for yourself, did your expectations, or have they changed since the Euros win? Are you now expecting them to go further, and did that then change with the rise of the injuries that England then got?
Yeah, I think I perhaps have a different perspective on this as an Arsenal fan, because I mean, my excitement for the tournament, it might just be like an excitement thing rather than a kind of expectations, but I was really excited to see Beth Mead, Leah Williamson, kind of probably their peak form World Cup, if you look at their ages. Beth Mead having had like form of her life, Leah Williamson captaining, I was so excited for that, and kind of that's been quashed a little bit now. So my excitement for the tournament has dropped, and I think previously I was expecting final, you know, qualifying, kind of challenging for the title. Now I think I'd accept getting to the semi-finals. I think equaling what we did in France in 2019 with the kind of what other countries have done and the kind of form that other countries are in. I think Brazil looked really good. I think Australia looked really good. I think minus Zambia, I think Germany have looked really good, and I think could threaten again. And it'll be interesting to see where Spain are at. I think I'd be happy with a semi-final and playing well. I just think it's kind of like I want us to do ourselves proud. I don't want to go out on a rubbish performance. I think that's what's most disappointing. I think if you put in a good display and you get beaten by a better team, that's one thing. I think if you go out because you've played rubbish in one of the matches, then that's when I'll be disappointed. But I do think for me the expectations changed a little bit when you see kind of the players that we are missing from the squad, and I think they have been noticeable in the kind of goal scoring form of England. But I don't think that the squad has been like massively decimated or anything, and I definitely think we've still got a very, very good strong squad.
For me, obviously before the Euros, I was kind of quietly confident that we would go pretty far. Obviously, Germany, Spain, France, they were kind of the teams I thought they could, they've probably got stronger squads, they can do better. Obviously, we went on and won it. Obviously, then Ellen White and Jill Scott announced their retirements. And, after that, I didn't, my expectations didn't lower for the World Cup because, yes, Ellen White did play a very important role at the Euros. Probably not as important as Russo did off the bench. But obviously, Jill Scott didn't necessarily make a massive impact. Everyone just loves Jill Scott because why wouldn't you? Obviously, the Arnold Clark Cup was a great, chance for different players to get minutes. We played some great football and the Brazil game as well. So, my expectations were good at, around then I was kind of thinking, we could maybe go on and win this, make the final and maybe lose in the final. But obviously with Beth, then Leah, then Fran Kirby, I just think they are three of the most important players, and they were three of the most important players for us in the Euros. Obviously, I think Fran Kirby is just very consistent. I don't think she gets spoken about enough in that number 10 role. So for me now, I'd say probably the same as Laura, and I'd say semi-finals I would be happy with. Anything beyond, I'd be, ecstatic, and anything below that I'd be, a bit disappointed. But as Laura said about performances, as long as they put in a performance full of heart, desire, then I'll be proud of them. So it's very uncertain at the minute as to how far we could go, I think.
Yeah, I think I was excited. I feel like I have to take responsibility for all of this, to be brutally honest with you, because something came out on Twitter saying, who do you think is going to win the World Cup and all that sort of stuff, and I was full on like, it's got to be England. Look at us, we're on absolute fire at the moment. And then we just absolutely went to pot. Everybody started getting injured, and it's all gone wrong. So I apologise profusely for like that commentator's curse as such that I appear to have put on the team. I genuinely didn't think we were going to go on and win it. I just thought we'd hit sort of like a bit of a golden age, really, with the way in which people were. But as I said right at the very beginning of the show, that defence ain't strong enough. It's just not. I think the decision to not take someone like May Le Tissier, that we just don't have enough strong defenders, I don't think, in England at the moment. And I think we could have lived without Beth. I think we could have lived without Fran. I don't think we're going to survive without Leah Williamson, if I'm brutally honest. So I would love to be wrong. I would be delighted if we made it into the final. But quite frankly, I don't think we're going to be in the finals. Maybe the quarters. I think it's going to be a sort of a traditional sort of England sort of thing. We get to the quarters, probably knocked out on penalties. And I think really I just want to respond to this person here. The old English mentality, being beaten by a better team is not the spirit of champions. USA would never think like that. Well, that's the difference, isn't it? That's why we are known as gentlemen and sportsmanlike and all of that sort of stuff, because that's what we want. We're quite happy if we're going to lose. We want to be beaten by the better team, and that's absolutely right and fair. So quite happy with that.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because when you look at England, the route potentially, even the first knockout round, whether we finish first or second, I'm pretty sure, isn't it Australia or Canada or Ireland, whoever obviously finishes first or second in that group, obviously depending. So even if we get into the first knockout, there's a tough game there. And I think a quarterfinal, it's Germany or Brazil, depending on obviously if results go as we expect. So the route is difficult, whichever. I don't think unlike the Euros, where I felt like there was a little, obviously, you talk about Spain, but it was a heavily, or it was a different Spanish side. You're looking at the Sweden game. Sweden aren't as strong, I don't think, as people making them out to be. I know I've got a lot of friends in Sweden who really big them up, and I'm always disappointed when I watch them. So I'm not massively convinced by them. So England can get to the ability-wise, I think they can get to the semi-final. I don't think they've got enough to win. I agree with Barry what you just said. I don't think that the defense is as strong. And when you're looking at the top teams in the world right now, I don't think it's enough to keep them up. But who knows? We really don't know. It's a tournament. Any team can go on and win it. There's always surprises at a World Cup or a Euros or something like that. There's always a team that you don't expect to win games that knock somebody out or something like that. So who knows? We shall see.
Can I also this isn't excuses. Like, it's a ridiculous thing to say. Big teams don't cry about it. Nobody's sitting here crying about an injury. You're asking a question, and the question is, are we going to win it? And I'm telling you no, and the reason being because we don't have a strong enough side. That's not making excuses, mate. That's literally just analysing a team and going, they're not quite good enough. If you want an excuse, I can come up with all manner of things, such as we're not wearing the right kit, or the goals are a bit too big, or, the fans aren't going to be quite as good as they were at England. That's excuses. This is just analysing it. I don't think we've got a strong enough team compared to others that are in the tournament, but I would love to be wrong. And also, what is this? Because I keep seeing this a lot around. What is Bazball?
I'm assuming that's you.
I mean, I hope so. I'd love that.
We've got a couple of shows. We need me, Laura, and Meg need to brush it because you've got that one in there. There was somebody saying Vic for manager earlier as well. I think that's three.
Yes. And I had a name for her, Serena Vickman.
I like it.
Maybe that'll stick.
Such a bad manager. I'd be too strict. I'm awful. I'm a teacher, so literally I'm so strict. It's unreal. You should see me trying to coach football at my school. It's like, come on.
Oh, sorry to burst your bubble, Barry. They're on about cricket.
It's cricket. Oh, God, get off that. What is that? Stop talking to me about cricket. We're losing at that and all.
I don't know anything about cricket, so that's why it went over my head. Should have left that.
That's what the balls always used to do to me as well. Can't get high enough to catch them. You could catch them in your hair, to be fair, Connor. It's like one of those gloves that you get in America for the baseball. Sorted. Meg, do you think the pressure's going to get to England this all? Seeing as how Connor's gone.
Good question. Obviously, there was massive pressure on us at the Euros, and obviously we dealt with that incredibly well. I obviously think there obviously is pressure with us winning the Euros. I think if we didn't win the Euros, I think there probably wouldn't be too much pressure at all on us. But I think, with the results we've had in the lead up to the tournament, there will be a lot of pressure on us to perform, especially, in the games against like Haiti and China, the ones that, everyone, will expect us to comfortably win. I think on especially those games, there'll be a lot of, expectations to, get high score lines, etc., expectations to win the tournament. And I don't think many people are expecting us to go on and win it now, with the games and, with the injuries. No, I'm not crying about them. But yeah, I think there is definitely a lot of expectation, but not as much as there might have been maybe 6 months ago kind of thing.
No, for sure. I mean, Laura, Vic, anything to add on that one before we kind of look to wrap this one? I've got a few quick fire ones I want to throw at you all and see what your answers are. Is there anything else you wanted to add on kind of what Barry was saying there? I guess the pressure somebody mentioned earlier about England having a potential target on their back now with obviously being European champions. Is there anything of that, do you think, that can play a factor in this?
I think there's a lot of pressure on them, if I'm totally honest. And I think not even just some of them, I think all of them, even like the young ones that are coming through, like Katie had her first tournament. I think there's a lot of pressure for her because, like the likes of Chloe Kelly went to her first tournament last year and scored the winner. And I think, you've got something to prove and you should have something to prove. Like, you're playing for England. Like, it's not a joke. It's not just, Sunday morning football. Like, I guess, like, the country is relying on you to play good football. So at the end of the day, I think it is a lot of pressure. And I know, like some of you were saying about like managers and stuff, and I think managers should be putting a bit of pressure on them, but not too much. But it's hard because I know some of them have come off social media, haven't they? Like the departure show, Millie Bright said she'd come off social media, and I think that most of them did that at the Euros, and I think that was a really good thing to keep that in that bubble, as they called it. Because at the end of the day, they do that many interviews and TikToks from Mary and things like that. Now, you can't say that you don't look in the comments. Like everyone looks in your comments, and there is going to be a few bad ones in there. So at the end of the day, if it only takes one bad message and it turns you. So I do think the pressure will get to them in that way of social media. They came out and they're now in the public eye. And before the Euros, like realistically, they weren't in the public eye. Like some of them who played for like Man United or Arsenal, whatever, people knew them, but not like they knew them now. Like my dad would have never known any Arsenal girls players, but now he'll know. So like it is a lot of pressure on them because they know that they have to do their best for their country. It's not just, like I said, a mini football tournament on a Sunday morning. Like it's a big thing. Like it's a World Cup. Like come on, get going.
Put that pretty well, to be fair. Laura, anything to add before I get to some of these?
I'll try to be really quick. I kind of disagree. I don't think there's the same pressure that they'll have felt in the Euros. I think Vegan manages it really well in the kind of squad thing, because I know during the Euros they didn't really let it in, even the pressure at a home tournament. So I think as a squad, I don't think they'll necessarily feel the pressure. I think what I agree with is what Vic was saying earlier about the individuals pressure, like what Ella Toon will place on herself to kind of keep up the performances that she's expected to from the Euros, and the kind of individual emphasis on themselves to maintain what they're expected. But I don't think necessarily as a squad there's a pressure to be like they've got to win it. I think it's more that individual has to score X amount of goals and they'll put that pressure on themselves. But I don't necessarily think that's kind of like embodied as a squad. That's my take on it, I think.
Certainly is in this age, I'm part of this age. In this age of social media, I was going to say, with everything else, like Vic, you said, you don't know if a comment's negative until you've read it. So if these players are going to look on social media, you just don't know, until you've read it, what that comment is about. But as Jennifer said there, I think there'll be people around them and media teams and all kinds of people that will manage certain things throughout a tournament. Certainly after the Euros and the big impact that we've seen of it, that's for sure. There's a comment I quickly wanted to get to before that one. I think I've lost it. It was too far up. Anyway, I'll come back to that in just a second anyway, if I can find it. Right, the kind of quick fire ones for you. I'm going to split this into two, from an England point of view and from a World Cup point of view. I'll go Barry, Meg, Vic, Laura, just following one after the other. England's top scorer in the tournament. So not necessarily the top scorer of the whole tournament, just England alone. Who do you think the top scorer is going to be from England?
Just a quick fire. Sorry, I wasn't expecting the question, which made it a bit harder. I can't say harder. Danish. Daly. Go on the range.
Did Meg get the memo about just following? Oh, she did.
Sorry. Yeah, Daly for me.
Russo.
Oh my gosh, what's happened?
Can I follow that? I was going to say Daly. Yeah, I think you've got to WSL top scorer.
Can I throw another one in there that might surprise people? Chloe Kelly could get a few. I think Chloe Kelly might be up there.
That was good. To be honest, it's going to be who can stat pad the most in those group stage games that we spoke about.
If we win a few penalties as well, Georgia Stanway, a couple of rockets, a couple of penalties, she's not out of the question.
Yeah, it was I think that was in response to you, Vic, I'm going to be honest. And yeah, TD, I agree. I think it's going to be who scores in those games. England's standout player, then, who do you think is going to be, if you were picking an MVP for England, who do you think is going to be the MVP for England this tournament?
My MVP probably would have been MLT, but she wasn't on the plane. So I could go LWM, but apparently she's not going to play. So it's going to have to be Mary Apps, because she's going to be a busy girl.
I totally agree with Barry. I think if we're going to progress as far as we can in the tournament, Mary Earps, I mean, those saves against Sweden, that game that she had against Sweden, unreal in the Euros.
Mary Earps, I agree. I think there might be a few games that do go to penalties, and look what she did against Brazil. She's hashtag the best.
I'll take a more attacking approach. I'll say Lauren Hemp. I think not necessarily the biggest goal threat, but chance creation, threat from that left wing. If we're going to get goals, I think a lot of them will come through her.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Earps or Daly. I think Hemp, Kelly. You can make an argument for all of them, to be honest. It really does depend how far England go and what types of games we have. So this is going to really throw some of you off, I think. So World Cup as a whole, so not necessarily just England. Same question: top scorer from the World Cup as a whole. So this really just depends
around, Connor. You can't start with me on this one. That's like asking me how to say "bless you" in like Urdu or something in a language that I don't speak. Help somebody else go.
Do you want me, I've got kind of two names floating around in my head, and I'd go Alex Morgan or Alexandra Pop as kind of two that I think will be, kind of maybe go toe to toe for that golden boot.
They're actually the two I had in my head, but Pop just tipped it for me.
Yeah, Pop was my standout one. I want to look at the group stages and see who's got some of the tasty matches of the 20-0s potentially. I think a team that's one of those top teams against the likes of Haiti could take it. But Pop was the standout for me.
I had to look at what teams they were again just to double check. Listen, I'm not going to be able to come up with a serious answer here. So Sam Kerr would be probably up there. I feel like she's got a great shout. But just for the complete lulz, can we go Adriana Leon?
If Canada have a good
tour with United, why not? Let's have her on there. There we go. So she'll get the whole thing.
Be very interesting to see us play Germany with Pop playing, because I think it would have been a total different outcome, if I'm totally honest. Not that I don't believe in our girls, but I think that would have been a game changer.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
I think we would have lost that final if she was playing.
I don't know if it'd have lost, but I think it had definitely gone to penalties. And I think she's insane. Another one I'd have in a United shirt.
No, for sure. I think James has got mine when they're Kerr or Sophia Smith is a good shout as well, because I'm expecting USA to get pretty far. So or a USA striker, because I'm pretty sure they're going to go distance. And that one. A question that somebody put in the chat earlier. So dark horse at the tournament, who you think is going to be a little bit of a surprise, and maybe people are overlooking. A lot of the Scandi teams seem to always fall under this bracket of dark horse every tournament. People said that about Norway last summer, and we saw how that ended up for them. But who are your kind of, I guess, team that you don't think people are talking about enough going into this tournament?
England. Can I just say Australia and move on? Would that be all right? Home team always makes a difference.
I don't know about dark horse. They're one of the favourites, aren't they? Australia.
Are they? Can I go New Zealand then? Is that all right? Would that work?
Yeah, that would work.
All right, New Zealand. Next.
As Barry said, Australia, but I think they've kind of been talked about too much to be considered as dark horses at this point. I know Connor said he doesn't really think Sweden, look that good when they play, but they do have a lot of individual talent. They've got very experienced players, players in great form. So I think Sweden could go pretty far. I'll go Sweden.
Haiti, of course. No, I don't. To be honest, I'm not that sure. I mean, Portugal, from the way they played the other day against us, so that could be interesting. No, I think I would probably go Spain. I mean, they've got Onabatier, so anything could happen with that one. Yeah, I'd probably say Spain actually. Yeah.
I think the title of dark horse. I wouldn't have Sweden or Spain down as a dark horse. Personally, I'd have them down as potential, like getting quite far already. But that might be my poor opinion already. I don't know. I think I like the comment about Morocco. They did very well at the Africa Cup of Nations. I was going to go Switzerland because they're in a group that they could definitely get out of as like a true dark horse. I don't think they'll go on to win it, but I think in terms of getting further than you might have thought, I think they'll get out of their group, which they might not have expected to coming into the tournament.
Spain still got that geezer in charge who's caused all the drama and all that. So do you still think with all that going on that the Spanish girls would want to go out there and win it?
I think
a lot of them came back, though, didn't they?
I think things like that actually help a team. Personally, I think it makes someone even more. And I think, experiences like that, it does help a team because it makes the togetherness even better. And I think it would have brought them together a lot more and make them want to win even more.
I don't know whether togetherness would have been the word I'd have used, but I mean, a lot of the players came back, and I think there's a few that still refuse to. I mean, Laura, somebody else might be better on this than me. I don't know, but I think a lot of them. I think there's still is there 3 players that still refuse or have not come back yet, but a lot of them have, and they're not getting spoken about purely for that reason because nobody. I think Laura, as you said earlier, nobody really knows what to expect from Spain because players have been in and out of the team, obviously because of the issues around it. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about them because nobody knows what kind of form they're going to, or what kind of team that is going to show up.
And I think, like you said, nobody knows, and I think that's why I chose them because you don't know, and you don't know what you're going to get. So they could be the dark horse. They could come back even better. And to me, after an experience like that, you would. Why wouldn't you? You'd want to prove everybody that it's not stopped anything.
And you had Canada up there as well, and they were in a similar sort of situation in terms of wages and all their argument that was going on there as well. So it'd be very interesting to see how those 2 teams sort of get on, really.
There's a lot of that, I think. Like, you've got South Africa had a pay dispute, Jamaica had to crowdfund to get there. So I think it will be interesting to follow all those teams that are kind of having potential disputes with their governing bodies. I think the thing with Spain is that it's still ongoing in the sense that that coach is still there. It's not resolved. So I think it will really be, is it a player-led team? Can Pateas get them in shape? I mean, Pateas was she was out with an ACL when it all kicked off. And so unfortunately, but also fortunately in the sense that she's not been affected by it, in that she hasn't come back, so it doesn't look like she's got an opinion either way. And I think on paper they have a team that could win it. I think can they all pull together enough under a coach that they obviously clearly don't like to do enough to win it.
Certainly is.
Haven't England had a bit of an argument and all about the bonuses that they could get as well? So, that's a bit of an interesting one as well because it's a minimum one. But, I mean, to be honest, we're not going to get past the quarterfinals anyway, so I don't know what they're arguing about too much. But, it's something to have a chat about, I suppose.
Have more faith, Barry.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of stories that are coming out in and around this World Cup. Good that they're getting spoken about, but there's certainly some sensitive subjects that came out this week. There's been reported for a long time, actually, around the Zambian side, which has recently resurfaced as well, which is not good for them either, that has come out. But good friend of the show, Graham, predicted Spain. I think the original question was dark horse. I think with Canada always gets spoken about. I think that's probably a shout. Nigeria as well as another one. Switzerland was a good one as well. I don't think because it depends what your definition of dark horse is. These other teams do get spoken about a lot as well, so it depends what kind of circles you're in. So the last one then, obviously the obvious one, who is going to win the whole tournament? There's a few. I said on a show 3 weeks ago that I had 3 names.
Brazil.
And that is one of them.
USA.
It's him.
My 3 are I can't choose. My top 3 would be Australia, USA, and Brazil. I'll say Australia because you two have said the other two.
Yeah, I was gonna go Australia. Repeat of the Euros, home team winning it. I think they've threatened everything recently and kind of fallen short. And I think maybe being at home will get them there. But I do think the other 2 are a good shout, Brazil and USA.
There's certainly a lot of
I
USA.
just hope USA don't win it. I mean, it just gets a bit dull otherwise. It's the same with the men's one. I don't want to see the same teams win it. It's a shame because we've got a lot of American viewers who I really do like. But yeah, just switch it up a little bit.
Megan Rapinoe won't shut up about it if they do. So that's the biggest downside, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the tea sipping.
Oh, don't. could not be. They are obviously the odds-on. The other team, obviously USA was the other one I had, but I'm not changing my stance. I think Germany could do something in this tournament. I know they obviously the recent loss to Zambia. Germany in international tournaments are just a different animal when they actually get to the tournament. So I think, yes, their backline is very aging. I think they're all above 30. So yeah, they have got an aging defense.
Germany will definitely not be happy about losing Pop in the Euros final and losing to England as well. So again, that'll probably make them want it even more. Put it this way: if I was playing on the pitch and I just lost to a team that, when I've got my top player on the bench and I just lost, you'd want to come back this time and prove everybody wrong, wouldn't you? So, I think that's the way you've got to look at it, and I do think they're another one to watch.
I certainly will be. Let's say it could be England versus Germany in the quarterfinals as well. If the path leads that way with.
If it is England and Germany, we're definitely going out of the quarterfinals. So
I agree.
Yes. And I said to penalties as well. It's in the start.
Got so much faith in this team,
Yeah, we could talk about this all night with loads of other teams as well. Just another sign as well. I actually really hope Norway have a good tournament because I felt a little bit sorry for them last summer with all the hype around them, and obviously United have got some players for them as well. So obviously I hope that they do particularly well. As of Arsenal, actually, obviously Freedom Arnhem's over there as well, so you've got to keep an eye on. I'd just like to see him do well because I think last summer was just horrible.
Yeah, personally. I absolutely adore Freedom Arnhem, so I just hope she has a good tournament as an individual player.
And yes, teacher, they should. Yes, but we shall see. But yeah, well, we can support Vilda, can't we? We're losing players. Obviously, Tunkara left, so we lost. Well, she's been drafted in now, but at the time she wasn't as well. But yeah, we don't have that many United at the World Cup. We'll just support Canada. I don't know. If England get knocked out, we'll see what Riviera and Leon are doing. Exactly. Yeah, we can't.
Well, you can say we told you so because Maya should have been on there. That's what I'm expecting to say.
For sure.
If someone makes a blinder of a mistake at centre back, I can just hear Barry now going, I told you to take Myla to say on that plane.
I don't even need to make a mistake. I'm going to be saying that regardless. We could win every game 10-0. I'll still be going, where was Laetitia?
I just don't actually see the logic in it, me.
It's baffling.
Yeah, it is baffling.
That is for sure.
I think it pains me more the fact that she's out there right now, but she will be flying back. That's what pains me.
It's like the little guinea pig as well. I feel they're tight on them because it's like, I'm just a guinea pig here waiting for someone to get injured. And then if not, I'll just fly back home and do the journey again. Like, oh, no.
A few weeks in Australia ain't going to do you much harm, though.
Obviously not.
No.
Don't get me wrong. There's worse places to have to go for your summer, and I'm not fussed about the fact that she's going to get a nice big fat rest before the season begins. So in that respect, absolutely brilliant. But that's not what football's about.
It's
And
not what-
honestly, it's just frustrating that we're talking about fitting players in that don't usually play in that role. And honestly, I've got all the respect in the world for Serena Wiegman, but for her to turn around and go, "Oh, we still see May Letitia more as a right back," then you need to go to Specsavers, love.
I know.
Because if she's a right back, then I'm a world class centre forward.
Oh.
I wouldn't mind seeing that either, Barry.
I would love to see that, Connor. Only on FIFA, mate. Only on FIFA.
I need to see that at United because we've got no other option.
I was going to say we don't have many striking options, do we?
Get your boot.
We'll wrap it up there, and obviously I'll come to Meg and Laura for yourself. Obviously, Meg, you're flying out to Australia in a couple of weeks' time. If people obviously want to follow your Twitter ats there, as it always is, I'm sure people know you are by now. But are you going to be covering anything while you're out there, or are you going as a fan, or what's the deal out there?
Yeah, so it's quite bad timing because I actually have my graduation on the day that the tournament starts. So ideally, my uni have been so selfish and not let me graduate before the tournament. But I'm flying out on the 22nd, and I think the first game I'm catching not the first England game, obviously, the other two group games and various other games. Just as a fan, but I will be posting on Twitter literally 24/7 like I do anyway. So yeah, feel free to kind of follow my Twitter, and yeah, I'll just take you along on my little journey. So yeah, I'm very excited. So
sending us all the pictures of the United girls, I hope, so we can use them for.
I'll be sending you pictures of Russo. That's what I'll be doing.
You just send us pictures of Alessia Russo, Meg. Then there's going to be changes in how I introduce you to shows from now on.
What will the change be?
Well, it won't be pleasant.
I literally couldn't care less now. I'm well over it. Like we can do so much.
Who was it? I think it might have been you, Meg. I was saying to. I'm dreading if Russo scores a winner in one of the games. Because obviously we'll be doing match reactions on here over the summer. If she scores, I've got to put her on the thumbnail center screen.
I'm hosting that show. Yeah, when Russo scores the winner, I'm hosting that show.
Sounds good to me. You had that. I just got good Wi-Fi over there.
And Laura, for yourself, is there anyone, obviously, fantastic debut. It's been great having you on. Is there anything you want to shout out while you're here, your Twitter at, or anything else that you want to plug while you're here?
Yeah, I'll just be staying in England. So if you want to follow some mundane tweets, you can. It's at Laura_HWD. I'll put anything that I'm doing. I've not got anything like concrete. I'll be doing a bit of commentary, alternative commentary on the World Cup. So if you're bored of the kind of ITV and BBC commentators, you can always have me on in the background, but I'm not promising it's going to be better. And it might not be pitched into the right audience in United fans for my bias, but yeah, I'll try and make it England oriented.
For sure. Make sure you go and checking that out. Obviously, make sure you're liking the video, subscribing. There'll be a show tomorrow recorded today with it. All talking all about Gemma Evans, because obviously United haven't plugged that enough, so we thought we'd do it ourselves. But no, there's a player profile piece coming out on her. There'll be another one when Emma Watson is official. We're still waiting for that at some point this week, maybe. And potentially some other signs before the World Cup kicks off. So obviously keep an eye out for all of that. Barry's going to be back with a fans forum, would you believe, on Wednesday, which has been.
We're not waiting for Emma Watson. She's just in under the invisibility cloak. Just waiting.
I'm so dreading.
Mate, I've got so many of them. I can't wait. I've written a whole 7 books worth.
So yeah, a fans forum will be back on Wednesday, which is exciting.
Great fun. Can't wait. Going to talk about all the things that have happened.
There's certainly been plenty of departures and incomings and all, well, not incomings yet. There's been some rumours and all kinds of things. So obviously check that out. The show tomorrow is certainly a good watch. Not because I'm on it, but it was. I had a lot of fun recording that one earlier on today. And obviously Barry's fans forum on Wednesday. So make sure you're doing all of that. We shall see you guys in the next one.